Peace and love, everyone. This is Brother Umar Bey, and I'm here to address the question of what is Washitaw? It has been brought to my attention that many people have never even heard of the Washitaw. How can that be? Anyone who lives in America also lives in the Washitaw. It's just a matter of your education or the lack thereof. As a Washitaw Moor, true and faithful, I have taken on the baton to pass to the future generations to share with you what I've learned about the Washitaw. So please enjoy this clip from Dr. Joe Saunders, a world-renowned archaeologist who has done the study of the ancient Washitaw. The Washitaw, we are the original inhabitants of the land. We built the pyramids and earthen mounds all over America. And if you live near a mound, or near what they call an Indian mound or an earthen effigy, you might be Washitaw. Please enjoy Dr. Saunders as the Empress introduces him, and he explains to you in a very short matter of time who the oldest mound builders in North America were, and the relationship of the mound builders to the pyramids in Egypt and in Mexico. Enjoy. Okay.
And before Dr. Saunders starts, I would like to ask my people if he says something that seems contrary to what your grandparents have told you, just listen at the man. He's an educator. He's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
And you've done a great work.
Yeah. And I was educated in Peru, South America, so I'm not as familiar with the North American education as perhaps y'all would be. What I'm going to talk about are two mound sites in Louisiana, both in Ouachita Parish, that are dating to between 5,000 and 6,000 years in age. And until about, within archaeology, until about 10 years ago, we used to think that the oldest mound complex, the mound site, was Poverty Point over in Epes, Louisiana. And that mound site dates to about 4,000 years ago. So we're talking of adding 1,000 to 2,000 years of antiquity to mound sites right here in Ouachita Parish. And for your information then, these mounds are older than the Great Pyramids. They're older than any of the temples or the mounds in Mesoamerica and Mexico or the Yucatan, and they're older than anything in South America. And one of the problems we've always faced, I think, is a prejudice that we have had, the Europeans have had since they've come into this country, is when they started finding these magnificent earthworks like this one up near Cahokia, St. Louis. And this would be an example of one that sort of an idealized example of one in Madison Parish, that when they ran into these, they said that the people that were here when they came simply were incapable of building mounds like this. And that was the prejudice that we as Europeans had. And only through the course of archaeology in the early 1900s did we begin finding, this is excavations of the site on the Natchez Trace, which would just be north of Natchez. And then these are excavations of a huge mound site called the Emerald Mound. I don't know if any of y'all have been there. It's just north of Natchez, and the Temple Mound, the mound there is about the size of 4 or 5 football fields on top. It's huge. And it was because of these excavations that finally, in the 1870s through about 1920, that the professional community accepted the origins of earthen mounds in North America as made by the people that were here when the Europeans arrived. Until that time, we used to look to South America, we used to look to Egypt, we used to look to the Phoenicians or to the Greeks, and they would always say that the people in, for example, in Louisiana were incapable of building mounds of this magnitude. They simply weren't sophisticated enough. But the research that we've been doing over the past 10 years shows that they were building mounds thousands of years before anybody else was in the New World, and certainly earlier than the Egyptians themselves started building their pyramids.
Wow, how was that? Did Dr. Saunders bring you some good information? Understand, Dr. Saunders is simply teaching about what we have always known as Washitaw Moors. We've always been here. The ancient civilizations who first inhabited the land we were taught to call America were pyramid builders, earthen pyramid builders. What modern Western education system has labeled as the mound builders, or that lost race of people that just disappeared. Guess what? We're still here. And what's more, Even though the original mound builders were a race of dark people, today in America, Washitaws come in all shapes, sizes, colors, religions. Washitaw is a heritage. It's not a race. It's not a religion. It is a heritage that many people can trace their roots back to. If you were taught that you were Native American, naturally your roots go back to the Washitaw. But if you were simply born in America, especially in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, or anywhere along the Mississippi River or the Mississippi River, or its tributaries in those many states, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa, just trace Ohio, the great mounds of Ohio, beautiful mounds up there, the Adena and Hopewell Mounds, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all over in Kentucky and New York, on the East Coast, even out in California, in Ventura, Encino, the Lost Tribe of Encino, down in Arizona, near Ajo, the Hohokams, the Supai, Havasupai up in the Grand Canyon. All over you have traces of the ancient people who were once here, long before any Indians. Much respect to my Indian brothers and sisters. My grandma was said to be an Indian, so I have no ill will or any ill feelings toward the Indians. Simply put, we are indigenous. Indians come from India. We are the Washitaw. We come from right here in the Washitaw, the oldest people in this land. And if you were born here, regardless of your race, religion, or creed, you might be a Washitaw. Come and join with us, because we have returned to save our land. Those who want more information on the Washitaw, please go and order the book, We Are the Washitaw. I wrote it myself with the guidance of Her Highness, the Empress of the Washitaw, and it is full of information that you won't find anywhere else about the history and origin of the people of the Washitaw. Thank you and stay tuned. You will not find this anywhere else except right here on Moors.com.